So Push is unwell this week, so he's not going to be with us, but don't worry because we've got another podcast queued up for you. And welcome to this special edition of It's All About Vinyl with Mr. Steve Davis.
Pleasure.
Steve Davis, of course, world champion snooker guy.
Yeah, that's a previous life.
Yeah, I actually looked you up on Wikipedia and it said...
I wrote it.
You didn't even pay somebody. Steve Davis, English retired snooker player.
There you go.
Is your epithet.
2016, I retired officially.
Yeah.
Never picked up a pointed stick in anger since.
Wow.
Do a few shows and exhibitions,
yeah.
But my life since then, bizarrely, has revolved far more about music than anything else. Crazy. There was no plan, it just happened.
And this is the thing. This is why we're talking to you. We've had a bit of a history with you, Steve, because it was kind of the Synth East festival that we put on with Robin from Molten Modular and the Norwich Arts Centre, which has just happened and has been great. It's kind of your idea, as I understand it. You sort of... Well, you and Robin sort of cooked it up.
Well, no, Robin's idea to have a synth festival, like sort of to show off all of the modular synth world mainly. That was his sort of passion. But we maybe the idea I came up with was that to break up the day, every now and again, we had a couple of little performances during the trade show, so to speak, and that we drew them out of a hat.
Yeah.
And it's been very much my passion in making music that I have no interest in making music on my own.
Right.
But I love the collaboration part of it. And actually, the improvised collaboration for me is even better. The happy accidents that happen. Because I don't think I've got anything in me that I need to say about writing music, but I do really enjoy the fun of improvising.
Right, yeah.
And so that's my passion. So the idea was, on the day, we pulled names out of a hat, and then you get thrust with somebody else. You have to set your rig up, and in the space of maybe an hour, if you can't plan anything, you just do it. So that's the fun part of that.
Yeah, it's
but
great.
It was lovely to see this event, I think, growing in strength as well. The Synth East is becoming really something that's got the right balance between family and good for the trade as well.
Yeah. This was the fourth year.
Yeah, and some great actually. I mean, in collaboration with your good selves, which is really lovely. I mean, okay, Seafield last year.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I was just so pleased to be there. So
it's great.
See them when they come back, really. Yeah.
And Cabaret Voltaire this year, which was incredible. But we should probably rewind because I don't know. I mean, obviously, we all know that you're an electronic music fan and a modular music maker, improviser, but it might come as a surprise still for some people, perhaps, that the guy they remember from Spitting Image, because you were so famous back then.
It was mad, Snooker was so famous.
It was huge.
It was ridiculous. Like, nobody could have foreseen what was going to happen.
No, I read somewhere that one of your matches, there was 18 million people watching on the telly.
Final of the World Championship, that I lost on the black.
That's right.
And that was, and that's probably the thing that's most people most remember.
Really?
But they also, a lot of people remember where they were when they watched it, and like, how on earth can something that's part of your life?
Yeah.
So many people have fond memories of watching with their grandparents or their parents as well, and a lot of people come up and say that they really that's what they liked about back in that time when you sat and watched TV with your family, which doesn't really happen today. So it's all become a bit disjointed now. But we got lucky. We were the first wave of snooker fun.
Yeah. But you obviously famously was it Spitting Image that gave you the interesting nickname?
The boring tag was becoming an issue. I was winning too much, but like Nick Faldo or Andy Mupp. And obviously you do an interview. Somebody asks you a question about snooker. So you answer them about snooker, and people get think, and he talked about snooker. You can't win in trying to manipulate how you come across on, but you can only do your job well. And then Spitting Image was one of the first things that came along and made fun of that situation, but actually lightened the load So
did it?
It was really weird. Yeah. So that year, the guy that had written the script for that particular spitting image sketch, where I decided I was interested and not boring, he then approached a book company and said, I've got a great idea for a Christmas-style book. And we did a book called How to Be Really Interesting, where I was just convinced I was interested. Every page was like a Monty Python sketch book, and every one was me being so boring, but I thought I was interested. You know, it absolutely lightened the load.
That's the way.
Leading been great fun, leading to the chaos and the oblivion.
But I was thinking about that, and the irony really is that actually you had this backstory that probably people didn't know about that was way interesting in that you're an absolute music obsessive.
Yes,
and you already were by that point.
So
die was cast when you were in the 70s.
I was. You half know that you're a little bit more interested than most when you're starting to seek out music rather than it just falling in your lap on radio. Yeah. And I was fortunate when I was school years, a friend of mine was also that way inclined as well. So we were seeking out a lot of what was called then krautrock, back in the kosmische stuff. And I was Canterbury music through and through, right? Rather than what was in the pop charts. Yeah. And between the two of us, we discovered a lot of music that has subsequently been now hailed, like Noy and stuff like that. Yeah. That at the time wasn't really that popular at all in the UK.
No, it wasn't. That's right.
So I felt like I was in at the deep end early on.
Yeah.
And that passion for seeking out music sort of continued as a hobby to this day. And the great thing was it's a hobby that doesn't interfere with whatever your job is. You can dip in and out of it. So a lot of people in positions where they've got a bit of time on their hands take up golf. But golf was too similar to snooker for competing with time and practicing and all that.
Yeah, very time consuming.
Vinyl, especially vinyl.
Yeah,
right. This is what. But music in general was a hobby. And any chance I got to go on radio to play records that I liked, obviously, you can't help but do that, can you? Anybody gives you a platform to force music down people's throats because you like it.
This is the good stuff.
Yeah, you should be listening to this because and so every chance I got, and I filled in for a couple of DJs. And when I went down a bit of a soul music rabbit hole, I think I filled in for Robbie Vincent on his London radio show once. Yeah, and also John Leach, who did a show on Essex Radio, which was a soul show. Right. So I was, at the drop of a hat, I'd agree to that, and then eventually had a radio show on a small independent local radio station in Brentwood and Billericay called Phoenix FM.
Oh yeah,
and started doing shows on there as well. So it's been sort of part of my life, really.
So doing a radio show would give you more reason to buy more records to play on the radio show.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that we did that for many years. And in a way, that's a stepping stone to how now I'm involved in making music as well. Along the way, I bumped into Carvus Tarabi at a Magma gig in France.
We're going to talk about Magma.
And then he was then starting up his band Knife World. I didn't have a clue really who he was at the time, and he said, I'm in a band. So he said, we're playing a gig in London soon. And I didn't know Cardiacs at the time. Right. It's one of the most underground bands it's ever been. And I went, oh yeah, you're in a little band, are you? I'll come along. Oh yeah, we're playing at this store. I didn't really, okay, fair enough. And I've walked along there and watching 1,500 screaming Cardiacs fans thinking, oh, that's my mate, he's on stage. And then realised how much of a... And in the end of doing the radio show a couple of times as a guest, we had so much fun, we became a duo. Similar, it's much more fun doing it, bouncing off. And that became another phase of the show that we were doing. And then we started to then ask guests to come on. They chose all the music. And as a result of that, even madder, David Allen from Gong came on.
Right.
Took a shine to Carvus Tarabi.
Right.
I think David hadn't realised he was ill and asked Carvus to be the front man of Gong Moving On. Based on our radio, he wouldn't have.
Wow!
And we went, we went to a restaurant beforehand, chatted, and I felt like the third wheel. The two of them started getting on like house on fire. I was just sitting there, And if it wasn't for that radio show, a lot of things wouldn't have happened, and I wouldn't have gone down the road of making music as well. So
incredible.
Yeah.
So you would have been you would have known about Gong, I assume. Was that a band you were collecting?
First time round, Gong. Yeah. I had the Teapot series the first time round, and so Gong. I wasn't really prog rock, even though prog rock was around.
Yeah.
My favourite prog band would probably be Gentle Giant over Genesis and Yes. I just felt they did it for me more.
Yeah.
Incredible musicians. I love what they did. And I think it stands up pretty well now, Gentle Giant. And they've got a following around the world that they probably didn't have at the time. And obviously Magma, because they were the band that blew me away. That was the John Belushi moment, seeing the light through the church window. What have I just seen?
Yeah, Magma, so a French progressive rock band.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah,
doesn't really progressive rock.
It's very hard.
Doesn't quite.
No, but it would
explain what they are.
It would have gone into that.
Formed
genre.
in '69.
Yeah.
I was reading up about them, and one of the really interesting things. Christian Vander is the sort of he's the guy, isn't he? It's his thing. He actually this fact about them I love, and I don't think there's anything more prog rock in that he invented his own language to sing in.
Yeah, him and I think perhaps another guy called Klaus Blasquez was involved in that. And I think the reason why they decided to invent a language wasn't because of the backstory of this space story that another planet, which was part of it as well.
Right.
The idea was that the Earth was falling to pieces, and a certain amount of people left and went to another planet to try and then tell people back in the world that how they'd gone wrong.
This is the overarching sort of mythos of Magma. Yeah.
But I think really the backstory was just made up on the spot. But the most important thing was they weren't singing in French, so they could have an international audience.
Okay.
So it became very much a case. Well, loads of people buy opera music.
Yeah.
They don't know what anybody's singing about. I've walked up the stairs. It doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah,
you think it's brilliant. And I think that's what they were doing.
Right.
So their third album, Mechanic Destructive Commando, which was the one that really blew open the doors to people being aware of them, was on A&M Records. And I think they got it. I think if it had just been French singing, I don't think it would have had anywhere near the
through.
So in a way, it was a clever move. It became a bit of an albatross around their neck, if that's the right term. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it weighed heavy in as much as any interview, any article sort of was going, this bunch of lunatics who are trying to create their own planet. I think they perhaps would have preferred to go away after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But I just, the moment I saw them, I went along to see a band called Isotope, a Canterbury band, sort of second division Canterbury band, if unfair, but they weren't the Caravans or the Soft Machines.
Wasn't Kevin Ayres.
And Hugh Hopper was in the band, and we went along to see them, me and my schoolmate, and we were about to go home when these 5 lunatics from France came on stage and blew us away.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we could have easily have left after the support band to get back home.
So you went to see Isotope, really?
Yeah.
And but Magma were headlining.
Yeah, and at Chalk Farm Roundhouse, sitting on cold steps in the roundhouse in the old-fashioned place, where it was just the turning circle where the trains used to turn around before they made it bigger.
So what year would this have been?
74.
Wow.
74, I think. And then just like from then on.
Yeah.
So the first time I've ever heard Magma was in another school friend's house on our various Subutio and Risk nights in this guy's bedroom or loft. And he said, I've got this new record. He put it on, and I thought it's the biggest pile of crap I've ever heard. But sometimes you have to see a band live.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it makes sense. And from then on, a massive fan, and still a massive fan. But they weren't just prog rock, because Christian Vander was very much influenced by John Coltrane. That was his big thing.
Right, yeah.
So they had a very big jazzy aspect to them. But if you were trying to explain to somebody who didn't know, I don't know how you'd explain the music of Magma.
No.
It's operatic sometimes. Yeah. You could possibly say, if you took jazz, rock and classical, stuck them in a blender And what came out was the total opposite of ELO or ELP. If you could say that was what they were.
Yeah.
But it was all the good stuff of all of that. But it still doesn't do them justice. And they're very much like musical Marmite.
Yes, they are. That's very true. I mean, I was listening to them today, and
not good to it in the morning time.
No, Sunday morning. No, probably not the best. But I was sort of thinking about what their sort of position, but also the records that they released. They strike me as one of those bands talking about sort of collectible records that probably have got a back catalogue that is very sought after. Is there an ultra rare Magma record? You're frowning. I don't think.
No, I don't think there really. I mean, maybe the first album is the one that started to go for a few quid, but I don't think any of their music's ever gone for a load of money.
Oh, okay.
No, and once they were the two albums that are considered to be their sort of golden period were on A&M, so they were, they were pressed
very
up
widely
everywhere.
available.
And they've never had any really rare stuff.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. You could probably pick up the first album in mint condition. Maybe you have to pay 100 quid for that now. I don't know, but you're not talking.
It's not
anything.
outrageous.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
Not like Can's first album.
No, not at all. No.
Have you got Can's first album?
I might have a reissue of it. I don't know. I've not collected a lot of kosmische music from the past. I've got some of it, but it's not the stuff I really majored on. So interesting going to record fairs, which is I've been to Den Bosch, the big record fair in the Netherlands, a couple of times now. I'm addicted to going there. It's the best record fair in the whole world.
I've only ever seen photographs
of
it,
it's just
and it
brilliant.
looks absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's in a huge sort of
2 aircraft hangars. It's just mad. It's like you go there. I mean, you have to go with ammunition because you blow it, and then you want to see the queue at the cash point.
Wow.
On day 2, it's out the door. People go reloading because they can't help themselves, obviously, because they're addicted.
Yeah. And you also, so you sell as well, or do you just?
No, well, I have been to a few record fairs and sold stuff, but that's only really because I've downsized and I haven't got anywhere to keep them. But I've decided that I'm getting a lot of electronic music, avant-garde, music concrete, modern classical, strange stuff, the weirder side of jazz, and something had to give, otherwise the floorboards would.
Right.
So I had a massive soul music collection.
Yeah.
And decided that even though I love soul music, I don't need it.
Yeah.
So I went to a record fair in Bristol, bought a couple of things, sitting at the bar at the Beacon Centre downstairs, and a couple of guys are sitting with me, and they're just sort of watching a couple of empty stalls. So I started chatting, and I went, "Oh, is that your stall? Yeah, is that your stall? Oh, are you a dealer?" And the guy, we just decided to get a stall and sell some of our stuff we want to get rid of. And I stupidly went, "Oh, can you do that?" The bloke looking at me going, "You idiot!" Right? Yeah, of course you can do that. You just hire a stall, right? I thought it was only dealers. So then I sort of went and took a load of soul albums down to Bristol Record Fair and had a great time and sold them, thinking, "This is handy. I'm going to have more room for music concrete albums."
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, look, let's take a quick break at that point, and we'll come back, and I want to explore more the concept of removing vinyl in order to bring more vinyl in. So we'll be back in a second. I'm out at the office, sitting in some daffodils. Sitting on a tree stump, actually, just to tell you, if you would like to support us, pop along to electronicsound.co.uk/shop and buy something from our website, like a magazine, current issue, a back issue. You can subscribe, we've got records, there's t-shirts, all sorts. And you can hear the lovely sound of springtime traffic in Norwich. Okay, welcome back. We were just chatting in the break there about a couple of things, about glasses and about
honestly,
riffling through and not being able to see properly. Yeah.
I mean, I retired not because I couldn't see a touching ball. in the game that I used to play. That seems like it was important.
Yeah.
And the fact that I couldn't see if they were touching, and the referee, who was maybe older than me, could. So I'm thinking my eyes are going slowly.
Right.
But obviously that happens. So I've got bifocals. But if you go along to a record fair with bifocals, no good.
Yeah.
You got that middle. Now I've got another pair of glasses, a computer pair of glasses.
Right, yeah.
So I have to keep swapping and changing. It's just a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I know I should bite the bullet and stick things in my eyes like that.
No. I think the worst thing for me is when I'm looking around the back of a synthesizer.
Oh, God.
Trying to sort of, because I can't get too close because I'm long-sighted, and I have to get further away. But with these glasses, everything close has to be here.
The bottom part. Yeah.
It's a shocker.
Playing modular synth as well. Sometimes
I can imagine.
You don't want to.
Yeah.
So you either have to go really close with a reading pair of glasses, or get something that's the right distance. But this is comedy gold. This won't make the cut. Edit this bit out. Yeah, but it's there. Yeah. But fortunately, my lug holes are okay, so I can hear music.
Yeah.
I don't think I've destroyed those from years of being in a band, which is a problem, I'm sure.
Your band, of course, the Utopia Strong.
Yeah.
You've released 3 albums now, I think. Is that 4 maybe? Because there's the BBC sessions.
4 on Rocket recordings, and 5 independent long form pieces on our sort of like private pressing. So we're 9 albums in.
Oh, blimey, wow.
And they are actually quite collectible now, because we only pressed up 250, and this whole thing about of limited edition.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's the way. I know there's people who go, no, it shouldn't be, but the collectors are collectors with a collector's mentality, and they quite like. We all like the fact that it's got some type of intrinsic rarity built in, and you notice now more and more albums are coming out in just 300, 200, and a lot more even now in 100.
Wow.
So I've also put out a record with Gaz Williams from Bristol. We started up Rack Records.
How's this spelled? Rack?
Rack, R-A-C-K.
Yeah.
As in you're a rack.
Of course.
With a nice logo.
Not as in...
No.
Rack 'em.
Rack 'em up. Well, that was actually one of the reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, but it seemed it was perfect for Eurorack. I mean, our logo's got little holes where the screws go. Yeah, it's sort of nerdy as well. Nice. But the music is improvised electronic music, 2 people improvising together, and with no overdubs or edits afterwards. So it is as
raw.
It was. It's raw, raw. And if you like it, you can top and tail it, but you can't change anything in between.
No overdubs,
and we pressed up 100 of those.
Wow.
And we did one Instagram post.
I saw
sold
that.
out.
Really?
We sold them all. Yeah, otherwise I'd have brought you one. We haven't got any left. I'm so sorry. It's electronic gold. Honestly, we were going to give one to Vel.
Oh, right,
but all of a sudden, it went ballistic on
Vel
Bandcamp.
is the magazine's features editor.
Yes,
so,
who lives in the Bristol area.
That's right.
Who I've seen at record fairs.
Yes.
Selling your record. No, he doesn't. No.
Knocking out our 7 inches.
Knocking out the 7 inches, yeah, it's great. No wonder there's none left. He's got them all. No, he hasn't. I've not seen one of your records being sold at that fair by Vel, just to let you know that.
I'm very glad to hear it.
He's absolutely like that.
Well, I tell you what we have seen, which is amazing to me, and it happened quite quickly after we started doing 7 inches with the magazine, is that they started cropping up on Discogs.
Totally.
And even when stuff was still in stock, it was going on Discogs, and the price was going up. And I thought, that's fascinating. How do we...
Especially about overseas.
Yeah,
people
but
buying them.
How can we let people know that you can still buy it from the source for cheaper than on Discogs? But people, I guess, they go to Discogs. It's like a record shop, isn't it?
Right in the comments.
Yeah, buy it from us.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
It's still in stock,
Make
honest.
a comment right in the comments.
I remember I had an early lesson with that when, not to mention Devo again, but...
why not?
I'm going to. The singer, Mark Mothersbaugh, is also an artist, and he'd done a comic that I read about one night when I'd had too many glasses of wine. I thought, I must try and get a copy of that. And I went on eBay. This was quite a long time ago. And I found on eBay a copy for like 60 quid. And I was just about to press buy. And I thought, I'll just actually look elsewhere. So I typed the title in. It came up on Google, and the publishers had it. It was $5. So I bought it from them. But that goes to show, doesn't it, that you sort of have a place where you buy from, and you sort of trust, and you know how it works.
Well, most times Discogs is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's I've probably pushed the prices up of things.
Yeah.
But even so, it's a one-stop place for finding, and everybody puts all their stuff on there. So well, most anyway. But I quite like the and of course you then get the flippers, people that flip records, that world that we all live in as well. So
of course,
you sell a limited edition vinyl, and people buy two.
Yeah,
and you know full well what's going to happen. Yeah. But also adds to the fun of it. And if somebody buys one at an exaggerated price, overinflated price. Well, you've sort of done what you were doing in a way. That's how that's the plan, isn't it? So,
yeah.
But of course, you can still, if you want the music, you can always listen to it digitally. So you can't really argue with limited edition vinyl.
Yeah.
And you are creating a future rarity, but that's no different to the world of any. That's why Northern Soul became so massive, because it was sought after.
And this was the collection that you had, and
I had a lot of Northern Soul, but I didn't collect Northern Soul. I collect it mainly for the B-sides, but I ended up with a load of Northern tracks. Yeah. But that's a massive market.
It seems to me that scene is the one where the prices are the most berserk. Is that right?
Maybe so. I don't know the punk world, or the 7-inch punk world, or the reggae world. I'm sure there are in everything. But soul music has historically been the big hitter over the years, and people don't flinch at. I sold a boasting. I sold a record for 900, a 7-inch for 900 quid on Discogs. But since something's happened in America, you can't insure it via. You can't insure any more than a certain amount via Royal Mail.
Right.
So I ended up not sending it to the guy because I couldn't insure it myself.
Right.
But that's just one of many records that people would be prepared to pay close to $1,000 for.
That's
just
incredible.
A 7-inch single.
Yeah. So when you started selling your soul collection, how did it feel to part with those records?
I emotionally let go.
Okay.
Of them.
Yeah.
Because at one stage they were really sort of... but I realised that sort of, they're just sitting in a collection.
Yeah.
Maybe find better homes for them. And if I want to, I can always listen to them online.
Right, yeah.
And sometimes some of the stuff I was selling, second-rate singers.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
It wasn't the good stuff. Nobody wants a Dramatics album or the Dells, but they want some no-hit wonder who made something slightly out of tune but rare. Fair enough, you can have it.
Right.
If you want to pay 900 quid for that, it's not the best sweet soul music that the Japanese collectors love. I don't necessarily think some of them, once again, know what even they're singing about. But they knew back in the day they liked the sound of it and the feel of it. Sweet soul was massive in Japan. But they didn't care. They just loved the atmosphere of a sweet soul track. But then you listen to it, you think, well, the words are pathetic, and they're not in tune.
Right. Yeah.
Some are obviously. Yeah. But so what I get left with from my soul collection are a lot of good stuff. Nobody's going to want to buy a Gladys Knight record. What a singer.
Yeah.
Nobody really wants it.
But it's as common as you like. You can
so
pick it up.
I'm going to end up with the common stuff, but that's still going to be a great collection for me to listen to, or Solomon Burke albums, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to have so much good stuff that nobody wants.
And you're making space, you were saying, for more your music concrete and your sort of early electronic music. That's very expensive.
Some of it is, yes. Yeah, you're right.
Not all of it is, though.
But a lot of good ambient film soundtrack material with an edge, with tension that you think, well, if this was in the back of a film, I'd be buying. If this was this, I'd buy this this film soundtrack, and that's to some degree the type of music I quite like making at home with modular stuff. Thinking, that would be library music for the future. I've not got too strongly on the library albums, but they are ridiculous prices.
Oh, the KPM stuff.
And some of the Italian library albums are.
Right,
We are getting very nerdy here, but but I think it's always nice to have a collection on the up.
Yeah.
So I listened to a guy on YouTube. I watch his show called Stunt Rock Confusion.
Okay.
And he's my sort of supplier of stuff I've never heard before. And there's a lot out. Music you never knew existed is a tagline from part of my previous involvement in the soul world with a small fanzine. And the tagline of the fanzine was called Music You Never Knew Existed. And I think it's a really wonderful... I nicked it from my mate who wrote it, and used that as the tagline for the radio show, and also it could apply to this YouTube channel. I never knew about Seafield before watching his channel.
Right.
I never really knew about Coil or Nurse with Wound. There were gaps in because I was down a soul music rabbit hole, and I never knew about Thomas Kona, or maybe I knew about Biosphere, but a lot of this sort of the really sort of dreamy, but with tension, ambient music, but not new age.
Okay, yeah. A lot of that stuff's like the Biosphere, Gear Jensen. That's sort of 90s.
Yeah, and I don't think I'd have
stuff.
Yeah. And I don't think. I mean, I'm fortunate that I know about Gas. Wolfgang Voigt.
Okay. Oh.
What an artist! And he's playing at Earth in London, in Dalston. Very quickly, and I've got tickets for that, so I'm well pleased.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I get to sit on another cold step in a venue where if you want, you have to hire a cushion for extra money, so you don't sit on a cold step and drink crappy beer that they have. They have 2 beers.
It's a strange place.
I want to see Guests.
I like that venue. It's
they
sort
have
of
rubbish beer. And it's cold.
Yeah, it's like the old days.
Yeah,
before they made venues nice.
But they've got gas on, so Brilliant. They're a good venue.
Okay, yeah, we love them. That's good. So, what's do you have any? Do you have a want list? Is that something that's?
I've got a want list.
Have you got a kind of top of the?
I've got a few
want list.
Yeah, I've got a few. A sort of like a lot of avant-garde modern classical composers that are very difficult to get. Romanian composers and a number of from some of those ex-Eastern European countries, wherever they are. Some of that stuff, but it's getting harder to find. And more people are after this stuff. There was a while back that it was pretty undiscovered, but everybody's catching on to this. There were some amazing artists. But I think I'm more interested and decide. I don't know if it's a bit late to sort of try and start up a record label with a view to putting vinyl out that was otherwise not on vinyl. So if you were going to, top 10 records that are only ever on CD or digital that you would want to put out on vinyl, that appeals to me. The record collector in me would like to see Touch Records put out a lot of Philip Jack music that's only on CD. Yeah. And there's other, I know the bands from even the music is not like that, sort of Universe Zero, Magma type of band. Right. A lot of their stuff only came out on CD. That period of time, 90s onwards, became slowly vinyl disappeared. And it would be lovely to think, wouldn't it be great if... And they're slowly happening, and there are companies doing it. So that's sort of an interesting avenue. So I don't need my wants list completely eradicated. That can be there for ages until I stumble upon one.
There is that problem with when you really are seeking something and then you find it. There's a sort of excitement and then a kind of
it's done.
Slight it's over. The Holy Grail has been found, but there's always another one.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you get into Pokemon cards?
No, I did not.
Of course you had no interest.
My kids did.
Yes, exactly. Well, you get sucked into that world because you're kids. That's then you start to realise what on earth you're doing collecting. What on earth are we collecting? What earth am I collecting?
Now we're getting into the
earth.
Yeah, it's the existential crisis of the record collector.
Do I need another record? Of course not.
Yeah.
But that equation that was a meme of how many records you need is the amount of records you've got plus one. Is the so we're doomed. We're doomed. Captain Mannering.
Do you have that? I mean, I wonder whether your sort of selling of records or your soul collection came from that sense of when you wake up in the middle of the night and think, why am I doing this?
It was floorball related, the worry of the weight of, but it was also, I quite like the idea of whether it's Eurorack modules that I've bought that I've don't use.
Right. Yes. Well, I think there's a correlation here, isn't there?
So, what are they going to do? Sit in a box, or you might as well sell them to somebody who wants one. And the same applies with music as well. But I quite like the idea of you, in order to buy a record, even if an expensive record as well, right? You've got to justify buying that by selling the equivalent, so that you're not, somewhere down that you play the game of, okay, you've got what you got, okay, you've got to work for this record you want, and the way you work for it is you've got to wrench a bit out. I'm going to have to sell that, or are you happy to sell that and move your collection on? And there was a great DJ called Soul Sam, who was a Northern Soul DJ, great soul school teacher, I think. So he wasn't absolutely loaded, but he had the really great selection of soul music, breaking a record, on the floor and creating really big in-demand records. But he was the person that broke the record to the crowd, and they went, next minute, what's this? Next minute he's created a monster. But what was lovely was, in order to fund him being a DJ moving on, he was prepared to sell that record or others that were rare from his collection, of his play collection, so that he could buy other ones. And I quite like that mentality, that you're not just sitting on them in a drawer and then never see the light of day. So that's what I'm doing with this. So one in, one out. My plan for 2026 was 2 out, 1 in.
Ooh.
Okay, that was actually in not financially,
but just sheer size.
That was in kilograms.
Right.
So I'm pleased to sell. I don't really want to sell 7-inch records, and vinyl. A 12-inch record is much weightier. So I'm working in kilograms. So 2 kilograms of records.
Don't listen to it. Weigh it.
No. Yeah. Exactly. That's how I'm buying my record. And I'm not doing that well. It doesn't look like I'm doing well. I think I'm doing all right.
It's an aspiration.
Actually, I am doing all right. Yeah.
Well, I think
actually I am actually, but the trouble is my collection of the stuff I want close in a record room are the ones that's the floorball problems. The stuff that I was getting at is on another level. Okay. That floor doesn't have the problem. It's complicated. It gets complicated.
It sounds very complicated.
I can't wait to see people turning off in droves for this podcast. But this will never go out. This will be what.
Okay.
We'll
shelve this one. No, it's great, and I think a lot of listeners will relate hard as well.
Well, look, a massive record collector.
Let's go to another break. I've remembered to do that, so we'll have a little break, and then we'll come back for the last section. We'll do that. Thank you. Hello. Mark Roland here, out having a little walk by the river near the studio. If you like what we do with the podcast, you could support us by going to electronicsound.co.uk, picking up a magazine, a back issue, a current issue. You could subscribe, that's the best. Buy a record. And all of it will support us, enable us to carry on doing it. Thanks very much. Back to the podcast. Welcome back. Okay, well, we were just having a little chat there about your floorboards again. It's obviously quite the worrisome situation, Shay Davis.
Well, and also, I think you can only have so many that you can listen to. Yeah. And of course, we've all got more than we could ever listen to, really. We know that. Yeah. We know what we're doing. We're not fooling ourselves as well as everybody else. But a working amount of records, I think, is far better than them in other rooms.
Do you actually know how many you've got?
No, I don't know. And I have not got massive. I know people have got far many more records than me. I think at one stage I had about 6,000 7-inch singles, soul singles. But that's not. But on Soul Collectors, that's nothing. Wow. I've probably got maybe 2,000 or 3,000 albums that I think is my my current collection. I probably had a couple of thousand soul albums, or maybe not as many, but even so, a lot of those are now gone to happier homes.
Yeah.
So the overall amount of records I've got, I don't know, maybe 4,000 albums, maybe, and roughly the same amount of singles, I suppose. But
as we were saying, they weight-wise, it builds up, doesn't it? I mean,
But I think I'd rather have a collection of what I would consider the quality that I want, rather than just collecting.
Yeah.
And I'm not a completist. I'm not a label collector. I'm only buying music I've heard that I now like, and I'm not buying everything from an artist. I'm trying to think of any artist that I'm trying to make sure I listen first before I just automatically get something. I think that's quite a good setup.
It's it sounds like a.
Have you got every Devo record?
Yes.
Have they made any rubbish ones?
Yes.
So you've got them. Okay, so that's your complete. Well, yeah, I've got complete ones.
Yeah, I think Devo's it. I mean, I love the Beatles, and I'm not completist or collecty with them at all. I'm not bothered particularly. I don't have any rare.
No,
particular. I think a few, maybe a handful, but not, I look often at the Beatles collecting world, and it's crackers. That's intense. That's really intense.
I think
and
I
they know the sort of label. Well, that's got EMI, that side of the label, and if it's this side, it's the second pressing, or that Butcher cover. That one.
That one.
Our postie, Leon, who comes and picks up the post every day when we put the magazines out, he's a record collector, and. Which, what a coincidence. So we often have a little chat about vinyl when he comes in, and he brings stuff in to show me. And he knows I'm a huge Beatles fan. His thing is he buys first pressings from the country where the band is from. So I remember he bought a Doors record, and he bought the first pressing, and he knew also it was pressed at the California plant, so it's very local to where the Doors would have been. But he brought in a Butcher cover to show me. That's the first one I'd ever seen in the flesh. It was very exciting.
Yeah, I'm not that. I mean, I've probably completist in Magma albums.
Okay,
maybe. Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, for sure. But they haven't really got that much of it. And I've sort of when you watch vinyl community channels on YouTube, people there's always somebody who's far more down the rabbit hole of being a nerd than you are. But you pick up certain information. I know there's what is it, the Kraftwerk album with a red cover,
Man Machine.
Is that what the one to get is got 3 L's on model or something?
Right, sort of a misprint.
Well, it's deliberate. Is it the track model?
The model,
so it's model, and then there's one with 2 L's and there's one with 3 L's. I think I've got it right on the back cover. And that's
I'm not aware
that's
of
the
that.
Pressing.
Right.
But I only know that from watching a German guy talk about it. And he's an expert in Kraftwerk.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's that. It's on the back cover. Yeah. It's not 3 M's, it's 3 L's.
I've got quite a lot of Kraftwerk records, but again, I wouldn't.
Yeah, go home and check to see if you've got how many L's.
I'll have a look. Have I got the rare one?
Or look it up. I'm sure I've probably got it. Wrong.
I'm sure somebody can inform us. I need to say that, don't I? Our email address, which is vinylpod@protonmail.com. You can, if you know about this Kraftwerk record, and you can fill us in, I'll read it out next time and correct Steve's.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Error. So we'll finish up soon, but I just wanted to find out, in terms of actually listening to your records, do you have a sort of listening room or a ritual?
Yeah, I've got a listening room. Yeah, listening room.
Yeah.
But I tend to sporadically, have little spells of it, and other times I'll probably I sometimes just listen to see a YouTube channel where they're playing records that I would also like to listen to. But I quite like the idea. So I'm now listening to more music because we're building up to our first. I don't know when this goes out. Maybe never. I feel, because this is one that nobody wants to listen to.
No. It's going to go out.
But
it's a classic.
Actually, the great idea. The thing is, anybody listening to this channel's got to be as nerdy as we are.
I think so.
So we're
we're in safe territory.
So I'm coming over. I'm interesting, not boring. It's great. But so Vel and I are going to start a ambient music Sunday in a really great, cool cafe, come bar, come canteen in Stokes Croft in Bristol. On a Sunday, going to call it Ambient Sunday, and we're going to play, and it'll be mainly vinyl, because who wants to be transcribing stuff to digital in the build up to it? So we got 5 till 9 o'clock. We're going to do, I think it's 15th of March is our first one.
Okay.
And we're going to see if we can slowly build up a listening following where people come, they can have Sunday lunch beforehand.
Yeah.
Then the place becomes just a night on a Sunday night, and so we're going to see if we can get enough of a build-up of people that would like to come to listen to mainly electronic music, mainly ambient, no beats, stuff that they never knew existed, and it's not in the background. It's high enough that you can talk, but you are going to come to listen,
right?
But it's not boof in your face. So 5 till 9 on a Sunday, and maybe every second month.
This sounds amazing.
Oh, so Vel and I are very excited. Yeah. So
my wife was talking to Vel last night at the Cabaret Voltaire gig, and said to me, Vel and Steve are going to be DJing together in Bristol. I went, are they?
Yeah, and then hopefully if it goes from strength to strength, we can, and we get enough people to come in, because it's free to come into this particular place, the Canteen in Bristol in Stokes Croft. They have music on nearly every night, and it's free to come in. So they make their money on the bar. But so they want people in. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it works and they get enough footfall, we can then maybe ask Mixmaster Morris to come down and do, an ambient DJs from around the UK, and even come down. We'll pay your exes, and we'll see if we can pay you, rather than just Usually, what happens to DJs, especially in that world, they do it, and they're always asked, I'd love you to do it, but there's no money.
Or
you might get exposure. It's for the exposure for the rest of it, for your future career.
With Steve Davis.
So that's so my listening habits as a result of that is I've started to actually identify records that I want to play to DJ out.
Excellent.
Because most times when you're DJing, and I've done a bit of it, you're DJing to try and pander to the dance floor. So you're always looking for tracks that maybe are not that well known, but actually work on the dance floor. But this is different. So this is really giving me a chance to dig back into a collection of music and actually sort of identify the tracks that I want to play. So we're quite excited about that.
That's great, because it gives you that reason to sort of go back and look through your records, but you've got this sense of purpose.
And sometimes you'd have missed a track, but you wouldn't have given it as well. So
you can think that's going to work.
So a lot of music I'm now, sort of go back through Seafield tracks, and the stuff that maybe isn't the dancier ones, maybe have a listen to some of the slower ones and see if they work in an environment where that's the case.
Do you know, I'm going to make a couple of suggestions.
Oh, please. Well, you can come down and DJ.
Okay.
But you'll have to go through Vel will edit, will be your filter.
I'll see if I'm up to snuff.
Yeah. I'll trust his judgment, not yours.
My daughter lives in Bristol. She's at uni there, so I'll
well,
try and coincide it.
Well, maybe come down for the first one.
Maybe.
We're doing 5 till 9. We've got 4 hours. I'm not precious about how much time I'm DJing for.
But I'm going to suggest 2 tracks. 2 of my favourite sort of 90s beatless, which may fit, may not. One is called Bulls Dozing by Fila Brasilia.
Right.
That's a lovely track. Yes, I'll write it down for you. The other is Andy Weatherall, Sabres of Paradise, Smoke Belch.
Wow.
The Beatless mix.
Wow.
That is
sounds
top notch. Check it out.
Me and Carvis Tarabi were DJing for a while on NTS.
Okay.
And we were DJing in the hut that was outside. They had 2 studios at one stage. One was in the square in Dalston. And Andy Weatherall was following us.
Really?
Yeah, and he came in, rolled a spliff, and while we were just finishing off our last track, and then he went, "Oh, that's a nice track. What's that?" And then,
wow, That's great.
So, yeah.
What a guy.
We were Andy Weatherall's fluffers that day.
I always remember when Primal Scream did Loaded, and he did the remix, which was, that when people think of that track in Primal Scream, it's his mix.
Yeah.
And he was kind of responsible for Screamadelica, really, as well. And Push rang me up and said, "Have you heard Primal Scream's new record?" And I went, "No." And he said, it's absolutely incredible, because Primal Scream had sort of been this indie jangly kind of band, and they suddenly turned into Andy Weatherall and became this.
We were so honoured. He liked to track off our first Utopia Strong album.
Wow!
And he actually booked us to play at Carcassonne in the festival down there.
Right.
And then it was cancelled because of COVID. And then he passed away.
Oh.
But his wife and the people that resurrected it, and the first year it came back,
they
said, we want the same lineup as
that Andy had curated before.
So we went down to Carcassonne and played a Utopia Strong gig there.
Oh.
And we were at the time doing something. It was improvised, but we were building up to a crescendo at the end of the time we were doing it. And we'd done it a couple of times. It seemed to work. So we was trying to sort of do versions of it. And on that night in Carcassonne, in the castle environment with no overhead roofing, the heavens opened. And it felt like Andy Weatherall was just pissing on everybody for the I got the last laugh on everybody, right? And there was no cover, electronic equipment. Everybody's trying to cover it up and everything. And as a result of that, we then recorded an album, BBC Studios Maid of Ale, that was a live album that's on Rocket Recordings, and we did a version of the track, and we called it Weatherall, as the pun of the word. And it's just like
brilliant.
Yeah, we played there. Yeah, wow,
fantastic,
amazing,
lovely. Okay, well, that's a great point to wrap it up.
Been
I think,
a pleasure.
Steve.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you.
Thank you, Steve. And we will. There'll be another one soon. So thanks very much for watching and listening, and we'll stop there.